Welcome back to another unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, and commercial-free Sharks podcast that is the Pucknologist, episode 144 here on Tealtown, USA. Not too bad of a week. Sharks going 2 for 3. We like that. Take those 2 wins. We're going to get into those games and more. But first, remember, hook us up, man. Subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you'd like to help support the content we deliver, you can always donate using that super chat option during the live shows. We do prefer Venmo. You can find us at Tealtown, USA. If you want to drop a little something in the tip jar, we certainly appreciate that. And thank you for the support. And remember, if you are not watching live on YouTube, throw your take in the comment section of this video below. And with that, we break in to episode 144 here of the Pucknologist. Jerkman, what is going on?
Not a lot, man. I kind of feel like I was just on a podcast.
Feels like that too. So 2-1 over the 3 games. Not too shabby through 28. This season, the Sharks currently 15-12-1 with 31 points. Currently 5th in the Pacific Division. And I don't believe that there are any games currently going on that would impact that position. Am I right?
I mean, so the Golden Knights and the Wild are tied after the first period. If the Golden Knights were to win, they would actually leapfrog the Sharks.
The Golden Knights are in 6th right now?
That is correct information, yes.
Wow. Boy, see? I'm
5th. They're in 5th.
Oh, okay. I'm so on top of it. Oh, I'm sorry. The Sharks are in 4th. God damn it. Okay. So I'm already like in a slow mode.
It's okay because in the Western Conference, there's like 6 or 7 teams that are all occupying one step on the staircase. So,
not right. Okay, 2-3 over the last 5, 6-4 over the last 10. Prediction time for me. A little update. It's looking good. I'm not gonna lie. It's looking pretty good. So far through 28 games, they're 15-12-1. I had them at 15-13. The good news.
Coward.
The good news, I'm looking pretty good on that. The bad news is if my picks continue to be on the nose, or at least this close, I don't see a path for the Sharks to make the playoffs. But we will see. So, Sharks versus Calgary. It's a 5-3 win for the Sharks. You get goals from Hertl. Actually, you got 3 of them, including an empty netter. But, hey now. Let's just throw it up there because EK65 had a breakaway. I was run over yet again.
Yes, sir.
It happens. And a goal from Couture. Anywho, Hill would start his 4th straight. Reimer was still, quote unquote, under the weather. Could they be any more coy with trying to talk about Reimer? Yikes. Balsers would go to the IR prior to this one, and this would be the game that Lebanc got a healthy scratch. Yikes. So this one, for me, I will say, 5-3 win, you love to see it, but then you got little things like EK65 putting the puck over the glass for yet another delay of game penalty. I am so tired of this team taking delay of game penalties. It seems like there's one every other game, whether it's hella dudes or puck over glass. Nice storyline from this. Calgary only allowing 2 power play goals in a game twice. Coming into this one, they lost both. Well, guess what? You did it again. You get 2 power play goals, you lost again. Even though Calgary came into this with the 3rd-ranked PK in the NHL, and the Sharks were down 3-1, and they'd scored 3 unanswered in the second. The 600 NHL point for Hertl, although if you listen to NBCS, or I'm sorry, see, even I screwed up because I was too busy looking at NBCS's stuff. Let's just throw it up there while we're here. I mean, good Lord. First off, at the beginning of it, look at those standings, ladies and gentlemen. Graphics guy working overtime up in here. 1 loss. That's fantastic.
Looking good.
Yeah, looking great. So Couture would nail his 600th point, or if you're NBCSN, you think that Hertl got his 600th goal. For those of you at home, only 20 players in the NHL have 600 goals or more. And I'll tell you right now, Hertl, not one of them.
Not yet.
Not yet. So, yeah, all-time screw job from NBCSP yet again. But after hearing from Bugner following the Columbus game, it was the Sharks needed to get back to their grind defensive first brand of hockey. The defense in this was not that great, but a credit for clawing back, going perfect on special teams. You get a Hertl hat trick, 1 power play, 1 even strength, 1 empty netter. How about you, sir, on this one?
I was really happy to see the Sharks play poorly in the beginning of this game because it left them open to play well in the middle and the end of the game, which they did. Just the way that they, like you mentioned, they were able to claw back against a very good team who was having a multi-goal lead against them. Obviously, you enjoy to see that, but also, and again, it's been a recurring theme here, I would say the last 4 weeks or so. We called out Hertl last week.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously we'll get into it as we talk about games down the road. Hat trick in this game against the Calgary Flames. And in the 4 games since we've called out Hertl, 6 goals. So,
do we need to call out Lebanc now?
Yeah. If there's somebody else you would like us to call out, send us a super chat and we'll be more than happy to do that.
Yeah. Bob, if you're listening. Quick shout out to 21 Pucks, clearly having an issue with the jersey that's behind me. Anyway, the attendance in this one, 10,534. Seems to be a recurring theme, unfortunately. I mean, get out there, man. Tickets are killer priced right now. There's some good stuff to be viewed. Look, Hertl gets a hat trick. I mean, come on. You gotta like that. But I was happy to see the guys come back off that road trip, respond well, get down early, had to chase the game, had to fight back. And this, I feel like, Jerk, is, again, one of those games that had this happened last year, the year before, they get down and they're not coming back from a 3-1 deficit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially last season, like, if they go into the first intermission trailing, it's over. You can turn the TV off and go somewhere else. And not so much this year. I mean, there still have been quite a few games where the Sharks, they have it in the bag and then they let it slip away from them. But I like that we're starting to trend in the right direction in terms of getting behind early and coming back and winning. That's half the battle, right? Now they just need to win the games that they're leading in, and, we'll be on to something.
And that's something, if they make it to the playoffs, something you're going to need. That's a club you're going to need in your bag.
Mm-hmm.
So we move on. Sharks versus Minnesota. That ends up being a 5-2 loss. Everybody, of course, is going to blame the stealth jerseys, 0-4.
Which I don't understand.
Yeah, because people are stupid. They need some reason something to blame a loss on. Hill's 5th straight start. Lebanc would return. Shimmick scratched for the 2nd straight with this one. 5th overall on the season. And we're going to get into it, but boy, this is like 2nd or 3rd straight game where Ferraro is just unlucky. He's just in the wrong spot, wrong time. He's trying to do all the right things, but fluky things bouncing off of him. And for me, boy, I don't know if you were listening to Randy and Hetty's call, but more than a couple times, Randy kind of complained about the lack of energy in the building. And this one actually had 10,782. So slightly better, but
I mean, the lack of energy, it doesn't help, when you're trailing
when you're
for a majority of the game.
Walked.
Yeah.
And look, it would have been nice, of course, to pick up the win, but Minnesota's literally the hottest team in the league.
Best team in the NHL right now.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, look, take it down a notch. I will say Middleton not helping his case in this one, taking 3 calls. That was a little yikes. And what was a stingy penalty kill for the Sharks, coughed up 2 of 3. But yet another Sharks game where they start slow, have to chase the game. But they did look good in the 3rd. If only they had decided. If this game had started at about 9:30, I think the Sharks would have been great. They outshot Minnesota 21-6 in the 3rd. So it's just like, oy. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like this game in particular, I mean, it was bad from the beginning, right? And the only reason it was remotely interesting is because you got a couple interesting goals towards the end here from Hertl and from Jonathan Dahlen. But I feel like this is the game where you take the tape and you throw it out the window as you're getting onto the freeway, and you just forget about it. And we'll obviously get into it in a little bit, but seems like the Sharks were able to do that once they did move on to Dallas. But yeah, this not a very good game against Minnesota. I mean, like I said, just burn the tape and move on with your life. But like you said, start on time, or even start, like, if you absolutely have to start late, don't start that late.
Yeah, maybe 7:45, 7:50. Don't wait until 9:30.
8:30.
I'll take it.
That'd be fine, but not 9:59. Like, come on.
You're right. So finally, it's the Sharks versus the Dallas Stars. The return of Joe Pavelski and also the return of James Reimer in net. Thank you, God. And we did see a little bit of, starting with the Minnesota game, continued Sharks versus Dallas, a little line blending. We got Gregor moving up to play with Couture and Dahlen, while Meyer would move down to play with Hertl and Barabanov. You get goals from Hertl and EK65. Hi-yo. Was that a game winner? I think so.
Yes, sir.
Maduel. Sharks, another delay of game penalty in this one. The one, of course, bad thing from this is Lebanc did get injured early in the first. Have really not heard anything from the team. I will imagine that we're going to get some sort of tidbit of info tomorrow morning. Today was an off day for the team, so something will come out tomorrow morning. Check your Twitter, check all the beat guys, they'll have it. But Reimer, I mean, 5 games off, you only come back with a 971. That's, last I looked, pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this game, kind of like what I mentioned before, right? The Sharks very clearly burned the tape against Minnesota, threw it out the window, did whatever they had to do. And, they came in and, they were under siege for, pretty much all of the first period and a good chunk of the third period. But when they controlled the play, they capitalized. They got the goal from Erik Karlsson, which would eventually be the game-winning goal. And James Reimer held him in there, obviously, but we saw a lot of Sharks players, and Eric and I talked about this on After Dark after the game. Yeah, I don't know. But the Sharks, they seemed like they were, even though Reimer was constantly bailing them out and being a wall for them, the Sharks were still there to clean up any garbage that Reimer couldn't handle.
Dig it. And which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But yeah, some good positioning. It did feel like they were a bit more cohesive, collapsed better. But Reimer did come up with some great saves, and hopefully this begins a run for him. And it's a run that, for me, just looking at the schedule, which is really quirky coming over the next 2 weeks, where it's game Tuesday, game Thursday, then off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then game Tuesday, then game Thursday, then you got like holiday. I mean, just these next 2 weeks, you're like playing 4 games in 12 days. So it's like, take advantage of this time to get guys healthy, of course, but dial things in. But Reimer, for me, there's no reason why he doesn't start the next 4 games, especially when you look at who they're coming against. I mean, Seattle.
Well, I was going to say, three of those 4 games are against crappy teams. And, obviously, like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, the Sharks or any good team can easily lose against a crappy team. It happens all the time, but you can't afford to screw around with this next 4-game segment. You just can't. I mean, we've talked about it for weeks now, picking up these points against division rivals, which is, teams the Sharks have not seen a lot prior to this week. They need to pick up these points. I mean,
they haven't seen them at all.
That's what I'm saying is, they're in a really good position to not only, push themselves further ahead of the people below them, but also catch the people above them. I mean, as I said before, you look at the division standings, right? Vegas is right there. Los Angeles is right there. beneath them. But then you look above, Edmonton is only 1 point ahead of them. Anaheim 4, Calgary 5. I'm not going to sit here and say the Sharks are going to win the division, but it's there. They might as well take advantage against some not so great teams.
Well, and so far when it comes to divisional games, they have taken advantage. They've only played 2 divisional games, both against Calgary, but last I looked, won both of them.
Love to see it. And a score update for you right now. Minnesota just took the lead against the Golden Knights 3-2.
File under, you love to see it.
Yep.
31 points. Edmonton with 32. You play Edmonton in 2 weeks. Yeah, pretty damn huge. Boy. Although I still think we're all like going, how the hell is Anaheim at the top of the division?
Yeah, exactly. And I even, Eric and I talked about that yesterday. Like, Anaheim, I believe, is punching up, and I think it's only a matter of time before they drop down, right? And
so, like, you're saying, like, Zegras cannot keep this up.
Right. And, I personally think it's only a matter of time before Anaheim comes back down to earth. And when they do, you're going to be, as it stands right now, LA, Vegas, and San Jose jockeying for that third position.
Well, the next 5 are all Pacific Division matchups. Gotta win those. And as Jerk mentioned, 3 of those games are against Vancouver and Seattle. Take advantage, guys.
Yeah.
To top off the Sharks-Dallas game, just of note, attendance on this one, a little bit better, 14,145. Now, again, when I cite these numbers, these are tickets sold, not tickets used, but you would expect there to be a little bit of a bump in ticket sales when it's a Saturday game. It's military night. It's the return of Joe Pavelski. You would hope that there would have been a ticket bump. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my Twitter feed right now, and I'm seeing a lot of agitation about William Eklund potentially being the only Sharks to go to the World Juniors. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, well, especially because Thomas Borlaug just got jobbed again this year.
Jam job off.
Yeah, but we've talked about it all year. When we do like our quick hit on what the prospects are up to. I mean, very good season that Bordelot is having for University of Michigan, and doesn't get the call after last year not being able to play because his roommate had a false positive.
Goddamn right. And the Golden Knights have tied it up, you bastards.
Of course they did.
All right, so stock up this week. Barabanov.
Woo.
Dude, 5 assists in the last 4, 7 over the last 7. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so I've heard that's good. And he's remember when we started the season and he was hurt a little bit, and then when he was healthy, Bob was saying, well, he's not quite there yet, and it's like, okay, I think he's here now. I mean, 15 points in 23 games, that's, I mean, as it is, that's a pretty good pace to be scoring on, obviously. But then when you factor that in over a full season, which for him would be 77 games, you're looking at a 50-point season for Barabanov at $1 million.
Dude, and doing it really all under the radar. I mean, nobody is talking about this guy.
Right.
So, yeah, keep that up, please.
Yeah, and he's an unrestricted free agent too. So obviously the Sharks have been burned before with signing guys like this mid-season, Sorensen, Radil, you know what I'm saying? But man, if I'm the Sharks, I get this guy locked up now.
Yeah, you got it.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be 2 or 3 years, $2 million, and I think that's fine. Dude, doesn't have to be anything wild.
Well, in this, let's go back real quick for a hot second before we get to the next stock up player. But this is something that you and I had talked about not too long ago. But what a scary thought as to where this team would be. And this is one of those things where you can be upset with Doug Wilson all you want when it comes to Vlasic's contract, Kane's contract, Karlsson's contract, whoever. But the Sharks, you have to give it up for flipping. Imagine where this team would be had they not flipped Linus Karlsson for Jonathan Dahlin, trading Suomela for Barabanov, and claiming Balsers.
Right.
I mean, dude, we're talking Dahlin, Barabanov, and Balsers. 3 of your top 6 when everybody's healthy.
Right, exactly. Well, and
holy hell if Wilson doesn't make those moves.
And with Dahlin and Barabanov, you can say, okay, well, both those trades were them taking a chance on a guy. Well, you know what? They took a chance and it worked out. But I look, even the Balsers one, right? Like, I think it was Doug Wilson Jr. who actually came out and said, yeah, we were doing our research around the league, and we were pretty confident Ottawa was going to put him on waivers, so we just waited. Like, that's the kind of foresight that we're looking for.
Dude, that's man. People are going to scream and cry nepotism. I don't know that I would mind Junior getting the keys to the castle.
I mean, I don't doubt that his last name had something to do with him getting the job, but it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with him A, keeping the job, but also B, getting promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Because people forget he's only been the director of scouting since 2018, right? And prior,
and who have the Sharks gotten since then? It's been pretty good.
Right, but prior to that, he had a completely different job elsewhere with the Sharks.
Yeah, no.
And young guy too. He's only 35 years old. He could be the GM for the next 40 years if we wanted to.
All right. So I think what we're saying is DW Junior, stock up on you. Tomas Hertl. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. After a drought, 6 goals and 1 assist over the last 4 games. Where is he going to end up? I mean, how would the Sharks look if they only had one top 6 center? That seems like that could lead to a lot of fan revolt. But what right now? Hertl is heating up. What's the play right now?
I mean, so are we just talking like in general? Because I think, I mean, if the Sharks, like I said, if the Sharks find themselves into a playoff spot, like I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, if they're, say it's, we get to the trade deadline and the Sharks are 3rd in the division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you keep him. You're a playoff team.
I think it also has to do with the fact that it's your playoff positioning, but I think it's also where is the team trending at that point too? You know what I mean? Like, are they backing into a playoff, or are they really, the team has really coalesced, built chemistry, come together, and Hertl's having a good time?
Right. That's what it all depends on. Because even if the Sharks, like let's say the Sharks are in the first wild card spot, if that spot's not comfortably held down, even though they are technically in a playoff spot, I would operate as if we being the Sharks are going to miss.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough situation. I'm thankful I don't have to make that decision. But yeah, a lot to think about between now and the trade deadline.
Yeah, and I feel like it's going to get asked more and more and more as it gets closer. We'll see. I think we might see something going into the Olympic break. That's a lot of time off.
Well, that's the thing, dude. Is so you assuming the NHL goes to the Olympics, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The Sharks, they're in Tampa Bay on February 1st. They don't play again until February 24th.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys who don't go to the Olympics, they're not going to stop skating.
Well,
there's going to be practices and skates. They're going to be asked this question every day.
Well, it's going to be that, but February 24th is their first game back, but then March 21st is the deadline. So that's what I'm saying. When they come back from that break, if the topic has not already been addressed, that I think is when the fire gets turned up.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Also stock up this week. Not my man, Jerk's man, Erik Karlsson, running me over. 3 goals, 2 assists since coming back from protocol. Over 15 games. My lawnmower has never looked better. My lawn, EK65's lawn has never looked better. 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points in 10 out of those 15 games. Look, everybody knows I called out EK for a long time because I thought he was playing like garbage. Thought he sucked as far as I was concerned. And I'm freely here to admit, Chiefs, since returning from COVID protocol, over these last 15 games, no doubt, best he's ever been as a Shark. It's not even up for debate. Okay? So all the people that keep trying to, I don't know, the people that keep swinging on social media like, where are the haters now? And all, it's like, look, yeah, we're fine to admit that he's playing well now because he is, but don't be a little bitch about it when he sucks and we call it out and you're going, oh, you're just a hater.
Well, and not only that, dude, but you mentioned the offense, which definitely mention it, right? But in the 3 games this week, Calgary, Minnesota, Dallas, 13 shots on goal. Those on goal, not attempts, on goal.
Mm-hmm.
13 on goal. He's only got 1 hit, but yeah, it's not really. You don't need him to do that.
No.
And he's got 3 takeaways. So he's playing very well defensively in addition to offensively. And also you look at, we were talking about Burns and Ferraro playing the whole game, right? Well, Karlsson, 21 minutes against Calgary, 24 minutes against Minnesota, 24 minutes against Dallas.
Yeah, he's getting leaned on now.
Well, especially because, and as you mentioned, those first couple games back from the protocol, where was he clocking in at? 18, 19, 20?
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be understood, I mean, he had COVID. Like, it's to be understood. But the fact that, he's starting to come back around, he's getting points, he's doing all the right things, he's playing more minutes, like, I dare you to find something to be upset about.
Hey, the only thing I can be upset about is the previous 2 seasons.
Well,
am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But
so it's like this is the Karlsson that I expected the previous 2 seasons. It's nice that we're finally seeing it. It's great when a player plays to his contract.
It's the haircut, dude.
I evidently. But yeah, for some of the, I don't know, some people on whatever platforms they have, and it's a little mind numbing, like a lot of revisionist history happening is what I'm saying. Brent Burns, stock down last week, but kind of coming back a little bit. 1 goal, 2 assists in 2 straight games this week after going pointless in 11 straight. So.
Jeez.
Yeah, so just by de facto, it's de facto stock up, I suppose. And Timo Meier, despite kind of cooling off, last week 3 goals, 2 assists, this week 4 assists, and moved to the Hertl line to kind of hopefully kickstart that thing going. Seems to have worked. We've seen what Hertl's been able to do since then, and still Meier does have 4 assists, and power play went 3 for 7. So a lot of stock going up this past week, despite winning 2 of 3. We like that.
But let's also quickly mention, you said Timo Meier, and I want to jump on this really quick. If 4 points in his last 4 games is cooled off,
right?
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, and that's why I haven't been stocked up,
dude,
right?
you've been on fire the last 7 weeks. You're allowed a night off.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And even Burns, like, I still think, you and I both, I would agree, we want more from Burns in general. I mean, it's not that many years ago that he was, as a defenseman, point per game, and he still looks good. I mean, 15 points in 28 games, there's nothing to be upset about, but I still would like to see more. In a perfect scenario, him and Karlsson are clicking at the same level, but it is what it is, right? And I did actually think of one more thing about Timo Meier. 28 points in 23 games. 0 PIMs.
Oh, man, that really is the one that just is shocking.
Keep it going.
So stock down this week. Kind of just overall defense. Like, I'm not saying all the guys on the blue line. I'm just saying the overall Sharks defense seems like it obviously came back versus Dallas, but there were a lot of goals given up against Columbus, a lot of goals given up against Minnesota. Seems like there's a few games there that you would like to see the defense tighten up a little bit. Stock down, Kevin Lebanc. I mean, you got scratched this week, but to your credit, even though it was in a loss, Boogie came out and said the game against Minnesota was the best game he had seen out of him.
Is it at all possible that he's played well the whole season?
And just has not been put with the right people? Perhaps. But look, it's certainly helping his trade value. But, Doug Wilson can't be happy seeing his 4th highest paid player getting demoted to the press box from the 4th line. Remember, Lebanc signed for 2 more years. But look, Bugner's holding everybody accountable. He said he would during the last season exit interviews. But as we've mentioned on here a few times, has Lebanc really been given a fair shot this season? I think you both know where Jerk and I are at. I would say no, but Lebanc did respond with a great game versus Minnesota. Would have been nice to see what he could have done against Dallas had he not gotten injured. Again, we'll find out more information tomorrow, but Lebanc, come on, buddy.
And here's the other thing, too, is, people are talking about, you just mentioned, obviously, his trade value. I think, and there's no indication that Lebanc is going to be traded. It's all whispers at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think
innuendo.
If he is, let's just say for argument's sake, if he is, I don't really know that his value could be hurt based on how this season is going. And the reason why I say that is because look at the last, prior to this year, look at the last 4 years that he's played. I mean, good years, all 4 of those years, 40 points, 56 points, 33 points, 28 points in a shortened season, obviously. Like, the book is written on Lebanc. Like, even though, this year, not so great. But I think some teams would still be comfortable paying value based on the last 4 years just because he's done that over a consistent basis. And, too many people, I think, are guilty of putting a lot of emphasis on the outlier while rejecting, consistent, stable data over multiple years.
Well, it's as if everybody is expecting Lebanc to be the cat who got in on all 4 goals in Game 7 versus Vegas. Like they're expecting that. Well, hell, he did that during that 5-minute major. Can't he do that every game?
Well, not only that, but it's like we've talked about it for weeks now. Look at who he's playing with. Look at the line he's playing on. Look at the minutes he's playing. Like, Bob can say all he wants, how much offense he wants from Lebanc. Those lines, especially that fourth line, you're not really relying on offense from that line.
Well, here, address PJ48 from the chat. How many drop passes do you make and lose in your own zone before you get demoted? Lebanc hasn't learned. Just bang it up off the wall. That and turnovers. Lebanc deserves to be where he is at.
Well, the problem with Lebanc is a player who needs somebody to go get the puck and give it to him. The problem is that for years, the Sharks have tried to make Lebanc be the guy who goes and gets the puck. And that's not the type of player he is. He's the player that receives the puck.
There you go. Finally here in Stockdown, I hate to say it, Mario Ferraro. Chief has found himself out of position a couple times. Goals against, gone off his stick, off his person. These are tough breaks, and this, I feel silly putting him in Stockdown because he plays so much. Yeah, I mean, he blocks a ridiculous amount of shots. He's just had a streak of bad luck as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
if you're, let's say you're a student in a school, and every test you've taken throughout a given semester you get A's on, and then you get 1 B. I don't really know that anybody's going to care that much.
Yeah, stock down.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you got a B. It's like, well, I mean, again, it's like we said with Timo Meier. Like, if this is stock down,
love it.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, you can't fault a guy for. It's not even a mistake. It's literally like it's not his fault the puck hit him in the arm. Like, give me a break.
Exactly. So, stats in the module. Right now, the power play clicking along 16.9%. It's up to 14th now after dropping to 20th last week. So some changes happening there that are obviously trending well. The PK remains 4th at 86% this week, killing 7 of 8. Love to see that. Face-off, just talk about clicking right along. Still 52%, 9th in the NHL. Hill and Reimer. Talk about a tale of 2 goalies. Aidan Hill, 282 goals against with a save percentage of .903, and he has a 6-8 record. Reimer, conversely, a 2.03 goals against with a .937 save and 9-4-1. Again, this is why I say I'm going to be very upset if Reimer does not start the next 4 games.
You mentioned James Reimer. We've done this for a couple weeks now. I have some James Reimer questions for you.
Uh-oh. Here we go. 400. 400. That's my answer.
So James Reimer, as you mentioned, he's played 15 games, started 14 of them, 9-4-1, as you talked about. So among, and we keep doing this, right? Among starting goalies in the NHL, and when you're a starting goalie, you've played, I would say at this point, you've played maybe 60% of your team's games so far. That's what determines you're a starter.
So you're talking like what at this point, like at least 16?
Sure. I mean, or you could say 50% plus one, but whatever. James Reimer, among starters this year, 5th in goals against average, number 1 in save percentage among starters.
Why is he not starting more?
Are those? Let me ask. I have 2 questions for you. 5th in goals again. The record not so pretty, but whatever. 5th in goals against average, 1st in save percentage. Are those all-star numbers?
I would kind of lean towards yay.
Yeah. And are those Vezina numbers?
I think they're knocking on the door.
I mean, at the very least, he's getting some votes.
Yeah.
And I think some people will say, oh, well, the Pacific Division has John Gibson, and it has Jacob Markstrom, and it has Mikko Koskinen, who's playing very well.
So?
And those are true statements, but James Reimer, I mean, he's putting together, he's packaging himself a very nice all-star season, I would say. And
and we're going to get to that in a hot minute.
Yeah, and I hope that people will take a look at that.
So, for those of you watching live, might have not been paying attention. It just went overtime. Final: Ducks 3, Blues 2.
And Golden Knights currently leading Minnesota 4-3.
But
Max Pacioretty 6 games in a row with a goal.
Wild on the power play though, and Joe Thornton has scored tonight.
You want to
with your mom? No, what?
you want to talk about a guy who's probably going to go to the All Star game, Max Pacioretty.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
6 games in a row with a goal, 10 goals in 10 games. I mean,
stop.
Yeah, that's a guy who's probably going to go to the All Star game. But real quick, before we move on, I do want to mention the Moduel, as you said.
Moduel.
So stop me if you've heard this before. The top 3 in terms of well, here, let's see. We'll do in terms of the module score. Your top 3 is Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier, Logan Couture, as it's been all season. In terms of high value goals, Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier, Logan Couture. Again, these are all things that we're very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm looking at, and for some of these guys, it's hard to tell just because of how few goals they have, right? But Nick Bonino, 100% of his goals are high value. Erik Karlsson and Jonathan Dahlen, 50% high value. Logan Couture, 75% high value. Timo Meier, a little over 50%. And, Tomas Hertl only not, under 50% of his goals are actually high value, but he's also got 14 goals. So,
I know. Well, in Blue Line, love to talk about that. 3 games this week. The Blue Line deposited 2 goals, 4 assists. Of course, EK65 getting 4 of those 6 points.
Beautiful.
All in, 15 goals, 41 assists. For those of you at home, that's 56 points in 28 games. Last I looked, that's 2 points per game. Is that good? I feel like that's good.
Everything I've known about what is and is not good tells me that that's good.
All right. So coming up this week, when we talk again next Sunday, we're going to be catching you up on a couple. One versus Seattle. Hello. Very first meeting against the Kraken ever in history. And one versus Vancouver during what we could probably charitably call the dumbest part of the Sharks schedule. So for those of you unaware, the Sharks play Vancouver back to back. All right. This is remember the big thing about last season, and you had all these like series where you'd play the same team 4 games in a row, like 2 there and 2 at your place or whatever. And when they talk to the players, they're like, yeah, really enjoy this because it cuts down on travel. We get to rest a bit more. It just works. And there was this whole thing of the NHL was going to do something to kind of say, yeah, let's implement this. It rests players. It cuts down on costs. Right? Couple less flights. Maybe you get a break at the Hilton for staying an extra couple of days. Who knows? But the Sharks are hosting Vancouver, and this is this whole back-to-back thing. It's on the 16th and the 21st. All right, so it's 5 days. Probably could have done this in 2.
Well, here's the hilarious thing.
No. I'm getting to it.
Okay.
The fact that Vancouver is in San Jose on Thursday to play, right? Then they go home and play the following night. Then they're off. Then they play another game, and then they go back to San Jose to play again. So even though it's back-to-back for San Jose, Vancouver plays 2 games in between.
And not only that, dude.
And has to travel.
Not only that, dude. So they're in San Jose. Then they go back to Vancouver for 2 games. Then they're in San Jose again. They go back to Vancouver for 2 games. Then they go to Anaheim and Los Angeles.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like, what are you doing?
Oh, dude, so stupid. So anyway, first ever meeting versus Seattle, currently dead last in the Pacific, where we all thought they'd be. Vancouver has climbed out of the basement, 7th in the Pacific on a 3-game win streak. However, they are currently playing right now and are up 1-0 over the Hurricanes after the end of the first. So, look, after cleaning house, is this all Boudreau? What's happening?
I mean, I definitely think you can say, well, fresh voice in the room. But I don't know. I would like to say, I mean, obviously we're going to mention it, but the Canucks were my dark horse this year. I'm still a fan of the way the forwards and the goaltending for this team is constructed, but I just feel like at this point it's a bit too late to sort of right the ship. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, as you said, they've won 3 in a row and they're leading right now against a pretty good Carolina team, but I don't know. I just wonder if it's too late to stop that bleeding.
Yeah, I think it might be. It's again, you can't win the cup in November, but you sure as shit can lose it feels like.
Yep.
So the quick hits here. Again, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but man, dude, I don't know about you. Well, probably because you're not in the area, but a lot of free tickets offered up to me this week. Like, come on, people, get out there. There's some good hockey going on. You use these tickets. Let's support here. Kevin Kurz. Oh man, the guy that triggers an amazing amount of Sharks fans. He announced last Monday that after a decade of covering the San Jose Sharks, he would be heading back east and now will be there for the New York Islanders. Of note, the Sharks do host the Islanders on February 24th. That is the first game back from the Olympic break, as Jerk mentioned earlier. Now, I know Kevin caught a lot of shit from some fans. It's like, oh, you're a Flyers fan, or he was too critical, or maybe he asked a dumb question or something. But remember, there are also a contingent of fans that want rainbows and sunshine blown up their ass on a regular basis. And if you're part of that group, I highly recommend you watch Curtis Brown. I think you'll get your dose. But I'm going to miss watching Kurz trigger some fans with, what are those things? Oh, yeah, facts. I mean, come on. And I will say, like, Kurz, when he first got here and he was doing the thing for CSN, and he was regularly part of pre and post or whatever, I kind of had this vibe, and I'm like, he seems a little Pollyanna sometimes. Like, I felt like he was very silver lining on a few things. Once he made that shift to the Athletic, it's like, this is the Kurz I've been waiting for. Honesty. So, any hoodles. Let's take a quick one from the chat because I mentioned it. Dana asking, how do you get free tickets? Seriously, I'm going to be in town for 4 games, and I want to go to all 4. Your best bet is join the San Jose Sharks fan Facebook page. That I see them on there from time to time. There was a lot thrown up this week. So that would be my recommendation for you, Dana. Taking over the Sharks beat on The Athletic is Corey, and there's no way I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Masasek? I'm just throwing it out there. I'll get it right because we will be talking to him this week. He previously covered the Devils for The Athletic and the Capitals for the Washington Times. Based on his introduction, he does seem to be more of an advanced stats guy. He's going to use GIFs and clips to explain his takes. So in other words, he's going to be The Athletic's Shang. But I'm sure there will be no shortage of fans on social media that will quickly turn on him and suddenly miss the days of Kurz. But we will be speaking with Corey sometime over the next week and getting his take. Oh, boy, advanced stats. Because what fan doesn't love advanced stats? Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally easy to understand.
Evander Kane made his Barracuda debut this weekend. Led the Cuda with 5 shots on goal in the first game. I didn't catch how many he had today, but he did have an assist. Some interesting photos that came out today, yesterday from the teddy bear toss game. I mean, you let me know. I just thought it was kind of funny. But here's a shot of the teddy bear toss, and you can see there are got a couple guys in suits. You see players bent over. They're all trying to help collect the teddy bears. You see the guys in the, the tank patrol, if that's what they're still called. Everybody trying to help and collect. Let's zoom in on what Evander Kane's up to. He's beaking the referee. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not looking for things to bust Kane on, but look, I mean, I have friends that were at the Cuda game. They said coming onto the ice for the second period and the third period, team was out there, and then he kind of sauntered out about 30 seconds after everybody else went out there. And I just feel like, look, if you're trying to build up your reputation and make things better, and like you're out there with everybody else, you're not special.
Right, and
although being among a group of AHLers and you led an NHL team in scoring last season, you're probably a little special.
I mean, I like to think, okay, maybe there's some context there that we're not seeing. I don't know, but to your point, when you're trying to rebuild your image, like, it's not a good way to do it when you're out late to the ice and, you're not participating in what the team is doing, picking up the teddy bears and, telling Shang, oh, well, I'm NHL ready. It's like, well, then you wouldn't be down here. But I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I would prefer we not get into it because we keep talking about him and I'm really tired of it. But
me too.
It just seems like week after week he's, been given opportunities to rebuild his image, which I'm still not convinced is even possible at this point, and just keeps fumbling it. And I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm just not really interested. I mean, I've been there for months now, but it's getting even older.
Well, it's not the first time he's been curt, shall we say, with Shang, and he's straight blown off Kurz. I've been in those media sessions. I've seen him do it. So, right. I don't know what his beef is with a couple of those guys, but you know what? It doesn't matter. They're doing their job. Do your job, and we'll all be fine. But the best part, of course, coming out of the Kane experience is Roy Sommer saying, I thought Kane's been good. We haven't had a problem with him. He's showing up on time. He's been to the rink when he's supposed to. Showed up on time tonight. That's all you can ask for. So in other words,
congratulations on doing
the bare
exactly
minimum.
What they ask of you.
Yeah. So there you go. And you know what? And if you don't agree with our takes on Evander Kane, good. And for those of you who do, good. It's fine. Nice to have varying opinions in the world. NHL All Star voting has opened. 3 options for the Sharks: Couture, Meyer, and Burns. How the hell is EK65? Now, this is coming from me, and I'm asking, how the hell is EK65 not on the list of 3 guys? Every team got 3 players listed on there. Now, granted, you can go and you can type in who you want, but it just seemed to be a bit of a miss that you got Burns in there, not EK65.
It's probably alphabetical.
Okay. But yeah, you can go vote for any player you want, like 10 times a day, every day for the next 30 days because the NHL is stupid.
Vote for James Reimer.
Yeah. But, I mean, one vote per account, that's it, this whole thing. Because we all know the NHL does that so they can sit there at the end of it and say, after taking in 2 trillion votes, F you.
The NHL solely contributing to population growth.
Oh, man. Okay, let's go around the NHL here. Look, we kind of touched on it last week, so I'm not going to dive in. Vancouver cleaned house. Fired Travis Green, fired Jim Benning, bunch of other front office pieces. But look, they've been on a winning streak ever since. Won 3 straight, currently up 1-0 over the Canes. So, look, that seems to have worked. Arizona, I mean, you might want to do something. I don't know. The Flyers fire Elaine Vigno, install Mike Yeo. You may remember Yeo as the coach that went viral in a video with Minnesota screaming and berating players. Or you maybe remember Mike Yeo as the coach the Blues fired a month into their season that saw the Blues eventually win the Stanley Cup.
Mike Yeo is just not a very good head coach, and people have yet to figure that out. Granted, I think he's the interim head coach right now. I think eventually Philadelphia will hire a new head coach, maybe Rick Tocchet. And
old boys club. Let's get another old coach in there.
You know what, though? I like Tocchet, though. I think he's a good coach. But I think they're going to hire a new head coach, and Mike Yeo will slide back over to being the assistant.
Has Burakovsky scored?
Yeah, he has a hat trick.
And that's it? Hasn't scored anymore? Okay, fine. Oh, boy. And the Golden Knights, 4-3. End of 2.
There's still time.
Yeah, still time. The Arizona Coyotes faced a December 20th eviction from Gila River Arena over unpaid taxes, fees, and then for some reason, like 2 days later, cut a check for all of it. I don't know. Just pick a city already. Houston, Milwaukee, Quebec, Kansas City. Just get the fuck out of Arizona. It's not working. Sell the Kachina jerseys. Be done. Forget Bettman's ego with this whole, we're not leaving Arizona. Look, just stop.
Well, and just the fact that, obviously for the Coyotes, good for them. They're now current with their bills. But why did it take being exposed publicly and the threat of being locked out of the building to pay money that was 17 months past due? And the Glendale city manager even said that. He said, he was like, if you think, and this is kind of a direct quote, not a direct quote, but this is very close to what he said. He said, if you think not paying your taxes 17 months in a row is a human effort, then I don't know what to do for you.
Colin called out Bettman on that. I loved that. I don't understand what is going on. And last I looked, the Coyotes don't have a building to play in next season. Is that correct?
No, as soon, pretty much.
Or is it 22?
Yeah, after this regular season, they don't have anywhere to play. And, I mean, they could always, eat crow and make a new agreement with the city of Glendale, but I don't see that happening, especially because they're really pushing to build an arena in Tempe. I mean, the way I see this working out is they try and link up with the Phoenix Suns and see if they can share that building for a minute.
Ugh. Well, it works so well at, what was it, Barclays Center? So
right.
Anyway, the NHL Board of Governors meetings were held this past week. Of note, Bettman, when asked if a plan of succession was in place, he responded, I plan on being here for a long time. Bro, it's been 30 years, man. That is a long time. Start grooming a replacement, brother. As of now, Olympic participation is still a go. He says Arizona isn't going anywhere, although there is a meeting in January with Quebec government officials. We'll see how that works. I cannot see the NHL expanding again. 32 is a nice round number.
Mm-hmm. I think some other things that were interesting from that meeting as well. Even though the NHL is not into the idea of going to the Olympics at all, they, Gary Bettman, he said that it's up to the players. And from how I understand it, is the NHL is basically banking on the players getting cold feet and backing out, which I don't know. I mean, maybe that will happen. There, obviously Robin Lehner has backed out, as we've talked about a couple weeks ago, and there's word around the street. The fourth period was talking about a pretty notable player for Team Canada is considering backing out as well, because I guess the IOC, they revised the Beijing playbook, as they call it, and as it turns out, they originally believed that the positive test quarantine was going to be 3 weeks in China. It could actually be 3 to 5 weeks.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Just back out already.
Yeah. I haven't read this Beijing playbook, but from what I understand, it's a pretty strict document.
Yikes. Also coming out, expect the cap to go up another mil here pretty soon, and perhaps another World Cup.
Well, and we talked about the cap going up $1 million. I mean, we talked about that last season, right? And
yeah, been a hot minute.
Well, and what I think is interesting too is, the NHL, they're projecting for this season, 2021-2022, they're projecting revenues to be just over $5 billion. And for reference, that's a higher projection than what was projected for 1920 before the shutdown. So what that means is that for this season, the NHL stands to make more money than they anticipated making before COVID started, which is obviously a positive sign for the salary cap. It's looking right now, obviously things can change, but it's looking right now 82. So it's 81.5 right now, and it's been that way for the last 3 seasons now. It's looking like 82.5 next year, 83.5 in 2 years. And then in 3 years, it could be some growth, from what I understand, some epic growth, like potentially getting up to 90 million.
Nice.
Okay. Which, I mean,
once those ESPN checks go
how
through.
About that? How about that Evander Kane buyout? Not so bad now, huh?
All right.
I'm just saying.
Quick check in on our dark horses. Like we'd mentioned, Canucks have climbed out of the basement 3 straight. Again, ahead right now, so it could be worse. They could be behind Seattle. My Kings are still sitting there at 6th. Look, I don't know how much longer we're going to play this game.
I mean, the Kings are still sniffing around, but
they are.
They've tailed off quite a bit. I mean, San Jose and Vegas are ahead of them, as we've mentioned, but also, if you're looking at the wild card race, Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, I mean, they're slipping.
Yeah, well, I'm ready to take these horses out back and make glue. Martin Jones. We know Ian's watching. Martin Jones, dear Lord. What happened, man? What happened was Chief has 9 games started. Remember, he has to have 20, but right now 9 games, needs to have 9-15 or better. And after just blowing the doors off in his first 3 starts, dude has returned to earth now at a 9.08. For those of you who are unaware, 9.08 worse than 9.15. Oy. What a kick to the groin. That just sucks. He's going to get a couple more starts before the end of the month. I'm still just going to go with the assumption that he will start for the Flyers at the end of the month when the Sharks host Philadelphia. But, kicking the balls. All right.
I mean, he's going to have money on the board for that game.
Easiest money ever to... No, okay. All right, let's go talk to those kids.
Ooh, Barracuda.
So, the Barracuda, holy crap. What do they call it when you just get dog walked? Is that what it is? When you lose,
they got rinsed.
There you go. Yeah, when you lose a game 10-1, and the guy who won the game, I can't even pronounce this guy's name. What is this guy's name? Onyebuchi?
That sounds right. Kevin would know.
I don't even know how I came that close, but right now 7-11-1. They were on a ridiculous losing streak, finally picking up a win earlier today, but This week, look, just getting absolutely rinsed, dude, and repeat at Stockton. Then they come home to host a pair versus Abbotsford. Evander Kane's first start. He did get off 5 shots on goal, but the lone goal from the Barracuda would be Raska from VL. And, all right, how do I say it?
Which name?
Rabic?
Oh, jeez.
See, yeah, I'm not even going to try. Look, Raska scored, okay? Make it. I'm going to pull a Remenda right here and just say, hey, kid, make it to the NHL. I'll learn how to pronounce your fucking name, okay? A 4-2 win over Abbotsford earlier today. This time goals coming from Cicek, Reedy, Chmielewski. I'm sorry, 5-2 win. Cicek, Reedy, Chmielewski, Weinger, and Halmgewachs. 2 assists for Blickfeld in this one, and Yoel got 2 assists. 1 goal and 1 assist in this one for both Reedy and Halmgewachs. Evander Kane would pick up his very first point in the AHL with a secondary assist on the Halmgewachs goal. In this one, it was all special teams, baby. 3 power play goals and a shorty for the Barracuda. Rabic? There you go. I'll go with that. Yeah, that sounds right, Jerry. Thank you. Your leaders for the Cuda right now, it's Reedy with 11 goals, Merkley with 11 assists, and when I say Merkley, I mean Ryan. And for points, Reedy, 18 points in 18 games. Makes you think he's probably getting a phone call in the near future. The goalies suck right now, but they're not getting a lot of help in front of them. Sawchenko with an 8.67 and a 4.18 goals against. Melnichuk, 857 save percentage with a 3.67 goals against. This coming week, the Cuda are going to host the Colorado Eagles on Wednesday and then head to SoCal to face Ontario on Friday, San Diego on Saturday. And the question on everybody's mind is, will Evander Kane travel with the team? Will he go? Because there was some speculation as he would only play home games.
Depends on if he's actually vaccinated.
And the other thing too is I don't know. Do the Cuda, do they take like Southwest down to SoCal? Or are they bussing it?
That's a good question. I know in the past they would do commercial flights for longer trips, so I'm not too sure on that one.
Well, I could just picture like the boys taking Southwest. Meanwhile, Kane's got that fuck you money, and he's like, yeah, first class, bitch. Who knows? So for the prospects, Brandon Coe, who, if memory serves, wasn't he signed to entry-level deal this week?
Yep, the Sharks just signed him to his entry-level contract very recently. That was signed on December 6th, which was last Monday. So
hey, now. So look at that. I mean, only has 48 points in 26 games. What a piker. North Bay Battalion. Just like, is he still like the leader in the OHL for like points? Like not for his team, the entire OHL. I think so. Dude's killing it.
Double checking. Yes, he is 1 point. He's in the lead by 1 point.
Tristan Robbins, now with 31 points in 24 games with the Saskatoon Blades, currently at 11 goals. Daniil Gushkin, 16 goals, 25 points in 21 games with the Niagara Ice Dogs. Ozzy Weisblatt has entered the chat. 20 points in 23 games with the Prince Albert Raiders, currently at 6 goals. Also at 6 goals. And currently the guy getting bent the hell over this week, Tomas Borlaug. 6 goals, 19 points in 18 games at University of Michigan. How does Bordelot not get an invite?
Total jam job.
Ugh. So
especially I just feel bad for him because, like I said, was on the team last year, couldn't play because his roommate had a false positive, and then this year doesn't even get the call despite having a really good year. It's just you hope that whenever the Sharks do decide to sign him to his entry-level contract, whether that's this year or next year or the year after that, hope he just shows up and just tears apart the NHL.
That would be a beautiful thing to see. William Eklund, last I looked, 5 assists in 9 games because Djurgården sucks.
Yeah, they're literally the worst team in the Swedish Hockey League.
Oh, God.
Despite being like the most notable team, if you can understand that.
You think it has something to do with Marcus Sorensen?
Dude, Marcus Sorensen is having a very good year for them. I mean, he leads them in scoring.
What a shock.
But here's the thing, and you brought it up, so now I feel compelled to say it.
Whip it out.
20 goals in 26 games for 20 points in 26 games for Marcus Sorensen. He's a -1, and has 62 penalty minutes.
Oh, gee, are you kidding? Wow. What the hell's that about? All right, so we'll wrap up where the prospects are, the kids, if you will, and let's get to finishing this up, and that always starts with our tweet of the week. It's a good one this week, and I like it. This coming from Shane at Shane SSM, saying the NHL are having multiple hearings for plays that weren't even called penalties. Maybe they should discipline the refs instead. I like it.
We've talked about it. We've talked about it before, but it's really unfortunate that the NHL handles the referees with kid gloves. You know.
Well, and it would just be nice if they would, like, even if it was only once a week, once a month, or whatever. But at least you have to be a little bit accountable for when you fuck up. You know, just the fact that you'll blow something and then you don't even have to answer to anybody for it, at least publicly. Like, it would be nice if an official once in a while said, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm human. I fucked up. I blew it. You know, I didn't get it right.
And it's just like,
at least own it.
Well, and we've talked about that before, like, you know, and you shared the clip out on, on Twitter when it happened, but the referee yelling, 3 effing times at Roman Josi, multiple times, just yelling at him, right? And you have, there was a game a couple years ago, Brendan Gallagher was told to F off by a referee. And there have been plenty other instances as well, and nothing happens. But then, a coach or whoever, they, they'll say, well, I would have liked to see the referees call a slashing penalty here. And it's like, oh, you've been fined. And it's like, for what?
Exactly. And Ian calling it out. The refs used to have their names on the jerseys, and that's been pulled off. Like, can we get more anonymity for these guys?
Right.
Stop. Douchebags. Look, that was a tweet of the week, but I got one more for you. Now,
okay.
if you go back to that Calgary game when Tomas Hertl had his hat trick, I was thinking something, and Kevin Kerr's obviously thinking the same thing, tweeting, if Hertl had a little more separation there, he could have tried that move from his 4-goal game 8 years ago. Now, I was thinking, and I tweeted something very similar, like, oh, man, if he pulls the Marty Biron move there, he probably scores. But the fact that Marty Biron responded with the best clip ever, here's that clip. I mean, just waking up out of a nightmare, like still having nightmare dreams about that Hertl goal. But what is it about, whether it's Biron or Luongo, some of these guys, man, the goalies, they have that reputation for being nuts, but goddamn, they've got some really entertaining Twitter accounts. I mean, is there any others that I don't know about that I should be following?
Oh, well,
Kevin Weeks has something once in a while.
Yeah, everybody, everybody's got something to say, right? And there are some guys who, they don't have something to say very often, but when they do, it's a solid one.
Yes, love those.
So, I don't know. I mean, but that's the beautiful thing about Twitter, right? Is everybody follows everybody. So even if you don't follow them, chances are they're going to get retweeted into your timeline.
Yeah.
So it works out.
So with that, we wrap it up here. We might as well show you one more time because it's worth it. I got ran over yet again. And you know what? EK, I invite you to continually do that for the rest of this season and beyond. Over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, we're kind of going to end this a little bit on a sad note, but we did lose someone that was a really early supporter of Pucknologists, Teal Town. But Steve Cropper passed away in his sleep yesterday morning. talked about it a little bit on After Dark yesterday. They also touched on it during the post-game show following the Sharks game. But this guy had probably the most ridiculous selection of Sharks stuff, swag, pucks, pennants, anything you can shake a hockey stick at. Insane. And in fact, if you go on YouTube and search Sharks Superfan, there was a piece that was done a couple years ago where Douglas Murray and Dan Rusanowski actually went all the way up to his home in Rancho Cordova and visited with them, signed a bunch of stuff, and there's a great 2.5 minute news piece about the whole thing. But the guy had just a ridiculous collection and was real generous to some people. He sent me a couple things. He's like, "Hey, what's your address?" And he's like, "Look, I know you're a big Mark Smith fan," and he sent me some 8x10s and just some cool inserts from Sharks programs. I believe he sent me a Mark Smith puck. Didn't ask for this stuff. He was just like, "Hey, I know you're a big fan. Thought you might like that." So thoughtful guy. We had our differences on certain things, but when it came to the Sharks, we were all of the same mind of let's go Sharks. And again, as a guy who has amassed too much Sharks memorabilia, I bow in his honor of all the memorabilia he collected. It should also be noted that a couple seasons ago when the San Jose Barracuda did that run that kind of gave a tip of the hat to previous franchises, whether it was the Kansas City Blades, Cleveland Barons, Worcester Sharks, they invited Steve and, of course, our friend Mitch Amaya, but they cobbled together just an amazing kind of mini museum of stuff to look at prior to those games, and they included some players out there that had played for those teams, whether it was Dan Boyle, Mark Smith, Johan Hedberg, Yevgeny Nabokov, Tom Peterson. It was very cool, and the fact that they reached out to him, he was just, when it came to that stuff, he was a generous guy. So whether you got along with him on politics or whatever, look, that's not what this is about. It's that we lost a Sharks fan who puts a lot of us to shame when it comes to the memorabilia stuff and just being behind this team all the way. So rest in peace, Steve. We're going to miss you, pal. Just amazing, that collection. Again, I invite you to take a look at that YouTube or on YouTube. That just search Shark Superfan. You're going to find it real quick. So with that, you can follow him at hockey_jerk. You can follow me at AJ_strong. Unless you think I'm irrelevant, then still follow. But anyway, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like to hear or discuss with us, you can send them over to Tealtown USA on Twitter. Don't forget to join us on our Discord channel where the chatter never stops and is also uncensored. Just saying. Check the show notes for the link. Remember to leave your take in the comment section of this YouTube video if you didn't get a chance to watch it live. And follow us on the social. You know where it all is. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. Just hit like, hit subscribe, leave us a nice little review. We would appreciate that. 5 stars is always cool. If you ever want to support the show, you can use the Super Chat option. We prefer if you use the Venmo tip jar, but hey, no requirements. If you feel it, if the spirit moves you, go for it. If not, you're always welcome here. Famous last words, jerk man, before we tie the bow on this.
So I tweeted out yesterday morning about
you have
how yes, I do. How a handful of Sharks fans and Sharks broadcasters and people who have a vested interest in the Sharks still like to talk about and care about former players as if they're still on the team.
Are you referring to me?
And I can't answer that for legal reasons.
I miss you, Pavs.
and again, like, I'm speaking as somebody who's a Pavelski, like, Pavelski's my favorite player.
But
evidently A lot of people really wasn't a fan with what I had to say. I don't know if I got ratioed per se, but
What the hell did you say?
My tweet had 33 replies to it.
Oh my God, what did you say, dude?
I said, here's the direct quote. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't get why Sharks fans care so much about players not on the team anymore. Pavelski, Thornton, etc. And this is speaking as someone whose favorite player is Pavelski. It seems odd to focus on legends of the team instead of the current team. The reason I bring this up is because I've heard many Sharks fans, and including the broadcasters, talk as if Pavelski, Thornton, Marleau are still on the team.
You got that all in one tweet?
Well, that had to be 2 tweets, so you get my point. And there were a lot of people who agreed with me, I will say. But for the most part, people were like, oh, well, think about all the chances they had at the Cup. And, and one person actually said, think about when you're single. You're telling me you don't recall past relationships? And I'm like thinking to myself, no. That's why I'm single. And again, don't make no mistake. I'm all about reminiscing as much as the next person, right? I love reminiscing. Joe Pavelski is my favorite player. Great memories of Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau on the team, but they're not on the team anymore.
Well, I feel like you can still follow a Thornton and a Pavelski and keep tabs on what they're doing because
100%.
You
100%.
You're endeared to them from their time here.
No, 100%. But as I said, they're not on the Sharks anymore. And there are people
confirmed.
Well, when Pavs comes back, and
Jesus Christ, really? I mean, dude, he was quoted both, I believe Shang and Pashelka both saying like, look, we asked him about the return, and he was like, nope, it's pretty much going to be Dallas. And
it's just I don't know.
And,
like I said, do whatever you want, but I thought it was just very interesting because it's like he's not on the team anymore, and like even on the broadcast, they're like, oh yeah, great shot there by Pavs, great shot by the big Pavelski, and it's like he's on Dallas. last I checked.
Let it go. All right. So, are you done?
Yeah. Cancel the show already.
You can find everything on TealTownUSA.com. Remember to check us out following every single Sharks game with our After Dark post-game show. And that's it. We thank you very much for watching and listening. We will catch you next week for episode 145. And for those of you watching live, that's right, 12 minutes left. The Golden Knights are up 5-4, so we're going to go watch that. Have a great night, everybody. We will catch you all again next Sunday.